morning. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching the F&O Show on BloombergQuint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. I'm Navneet Saluja D'Souza.
Good morning, Navneet. I'm Agam Vakil. Let's take a look at how the markets are faring, Navneet. Well, for now, advances coming through.
That's right, Agam. In fact, we are building on to the gains, at least from the opening levels. And as we speak, Nifty is approaching very close to, once again, that psychological mark of 12,000, which we did touch at least thrice last week. But from those higher levels, there is some profit booking which is coming by. Remember, the recent high on the index is up at about 12,038, which will be the first resistance to be watched out for. Sensex up 200 points in trade, and the Bank Nifty also doing pretty well, up about 150 points. Pull up the broader markets as well and check how the entire listed universe is also doing. So gains coming in for both benchmarks as well as the broader market indices. Mid-cap index witnessing gain of about 0.5%. But the market breadth gives you a better picture of what's happening with the entire universe. And that too is in favor of the advances. So good going at least to this, the fresh week that we've started. And also this is an important week as you've got the monthly expiry for November series that will take place on Thursday. So watching out for the levels. Remember at the start of the day, at least we were watching out for 11,800 to be the first support. And on the upside, as I mentioned, 12,038 will be the first resistance because that's your recent high. So in terms of distribution, you've got the 12,000 call sitting with maximum open interest, and on the put side, it is at the 11,900 mark. We are back to being in a very tight range right now. But one positive takeaway, Agam, is even when the markets were going up on certain days last week, we didn't see any sort of unwinding coming on the call side. So today you've got the 11,900, 950 and the 12,000 call strikes which are seeing unwinding, telling you the call writers are now running for cover there. And on the put side, there is aggressive writing which is coming in just 1 hour of trade. Almost 13 lakh shares have been added on the 11,900 puts. So the support base has moved from 11,800 to 900. And on the upside now, let's see if this week is we can cross the all-time high level mark of 12,103.
Absolutely, but as Navneet pointed out, there is some amount of accumulation in the 12,000 calls, so we'll be keeping an eye on that one. But let's talk about stocks, and many which may be in focus on account of an increase in open interest. So we do have Eicher Motors along with Bharat Forge, which is seeing a surge of around 11.5% increase in OI, both. But while Eicher Motors is advancing, Bharat Forge is declining. We have Tech Mahindra, which is also seeing advances of around 1%. So same for Titan. And United Breweries is the other one, which is, well, not looking at a big knock, but it is looking at some amount of accumulation in open interest. Moving on to, let's also talk about those stocks which are seeing a decline in OI. Not too much to speak for, but maybe perhaps Tata Chemicals is looking at some amount of unwinding, and we have Hexaware Technologies, which is also looking at a 1.5% decline. Again, Navneet, we're going to be continuing to watch out for some of those which are seeing an increase in open interest given that we are heading into expiry.
Yep, and let's see how the volatility shapes up, because on Monday at least, right now, VIX has cooled off about 3 to 3.5%. We'll see if the VIX inches higher towards when we come closer to the expiry day on Thursday. 14.3 is where India VIX is trading. But on the show, we were addressing some stocks. We will be discussing JSW Steel. Remember, steel stocks started moving higher in the last hour of trade on Friday, and the rally continues today as well. In fact, for JSW Steel, it's touched its 200-day moving average. DLF is the other one, which has been giving you positive returns for the last 6 weeks now. The stock's been touching fresh 52-week high levels. In fact, Morgan Stanley has upgraded the stock to overweight, giving it a target price of 269. And the other one is Bharti Airtel. Telecom stocks have been in focus recently. This particular counter is one of the top performing Nifty constituents also for this calendar year. It was up 7% last week, and this Monday morning, CLSA has increased its target price to 515 from an earlier target of 415.
Okay, well, there you have it. And on that note, let's get in our experts for today. But before that, here's a reminder. If you have any queries regarding futures and options, you can call us on 022-454-04141. And of course, you can write to us on our social media pages, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube with the AskBQ hashtag. Today we have with us Navneet Daga of ES Securities and Abhijit Phatak of Definite Solutions joining us on the show. Good morning to both of you, and thanks for taking time out. Abhijit, I start with you. Where do we go from here when it comes to the benchmark indices? What's your play?
Good morning, Agam. Yes, Nifty is range bound as everyone can see it. At some point, it should break out. It is still bullish. And the only problem is when it will break out is something which no one can say. So right now it is just playing the range in terms of either buying at support and shorting at resistance, or a better trade would be to short 12,000 straddle of December, which is near 360 right now. And with a stop loss of 30-40 points, I expect it to go below 300 in the coming days. But this is a safer trade because you can't say when it will bounce and when it will break out.
Okay, that's the view coming in on Nifty, and Abhijit is advising a short straddle, and that's for the December series, I guess. Yep, he's asking to sell the 12,000 call as well as put with a stop loss of 390. But Navneet, good morning to you. In this expiry week, are you advising to take any sort of bet on Monday?
Look, the trading action is quite muted, and we have seen this continuation of this trend for the last 3 weeks or so. It's been a very narrow band that we have been trading, and the option data is also suggesting that there is no major breakout or breakdown trade available in the market currently. So those who can short options and play safe with the small stop losses can still initiate a trade. To my understanding, and the last week also I suggested that selling in 12,100 calls and simultaneously selling in 11,900 puts can be a fruitful option strategy. Given that we are moving into the fag end of the expiry, last 4 days of expiry is left for the November series, so there would be a time decay, as well as the walls are also collapsing. The VIX is almost cooled up near to that 14 and a half kind of a mark. So that's giving me comfort that there is no major breakdown trade. So one can still sell this November series 12,100 calls and simultaneously sell 11,900 puts. I expect the market to continue to trade in this band.
Okay, so both our experts have similar strategies, not the same strategies, but similar ones. So while Abhijit is looking to short a 12,000 straddle, Navneet is suggesting that he would go and sell a strangle, and of course around these levels, this is around the 12,000 mark. So some interesting, and perhaps similar views coming in from both our experts. But let's talk about stocks then. Navneet, I'll come back to you on stocks that are looking interesting to you. What is on your radar today?
Well, Agam, if you look out, there has been some amount of trend which is emerging for most of the global markets as well. We are seeing the healthcare index started to make a comeback across the world, and we are seeing the similar trend in our markets, whereby the healthcare index and some kinds of pharma stocks have been in the traders' radars for the last few weeks or so now. Sun Pharma, we have already recommended the last week. To my understanding, that's a continuation of a trend. That has already surpassed the kind of a small hurdle zone which was there at somewhere near to 450 odd and sustaining above that. So I'll still place a bet long on the long side on Sun Pharma, looking for an upside target of somewhere near to 480 odd zone. One can initiate a long position at the current market price of 458 to 460 zone, and keeping a small stop loss at the levels of below 450 odd levels. It started to close below that level. One should look to exit this trade. The second trade is basically again the global theme which is picked up is the metal stocks, which has seen a continuous kind of run up in the last couple of days. We have seen steel stocks making a comeback and some kind of a long accumulation along with the price chart breakout happening. So JSW Steel still looks to me that it's a good amount of safer bet. One can still initiate a long position in the range of 256 to 258. I'm placing a small stop loss on the lower side of somewhere near to 248 and playing a upside target of 275 on the current market price.
Okay, so two long calls coming in from Navneet, one on Sun Pharma and the other JSW Steel, which even we wanted to discuss. And Navneet has a target of about 275. Remember, all the steel stocks have been scaling higher since Friday last out of trade. Abhijit, what about you in terms of individual stock futures for today? What are you recommending in trade?
Yeah, looking at the mixed phase of the market, I have one long and one short. Long is Grasim, which has shown quite a good strength in the last few days, and that can be bought with a stop loss on any dip near 790, 795 with a stop loss below 780, and expecting Grasim to go towards 830 or maybe even 850 in the coming maybe couple of weeks. The other short is Havells, which has been weak over the last few days, and only today it has bounced, but it might give a good opportunity to short on this rise near 650 with a short stop loss above 665. And this, I'm expecting this to go towards 635, 620.
Okay, so one long and one short coming in from Abhijit, and from there on, let's talk about a handful of stocks that we want to address in today's day of trade. And let's start off with perhaps JSW Steel, which is right at the top of our list. And what we've seen is second straight days of gains. It's actually touched its 200 daily moving average in trade as well. And see, we've seen advances. And it's not just JSW Steel, it is a lot of steel counters which have picked up pace of late. But JSW Steel at this point in time up 2.5%. And there is a little bit of an increase in open interest as well. But where do we go from here? Well, Navneet, this one is...
I think Navneet's already given a buy call on JSW.
On JSW Steel, correct. So I'll take it as up with Abhijit. Abhijit, where do we go from here? Your view on JSW Steel?
JSW Steel? Yeah, if one is long in JSW Steel, he can hold with a stop loss below 250. And maybe 260, 265 is possible, even maybe this expiry. But stop loss of 250 is essential because it has not yet broken above the first 15 minutes high. So that is important. Once it breaks above that, it will gain strength.
Abhijit, the other steel stocks have also been moving higher from the likes of JSPL and Tata Steel. Steel Authority too is up about 3% in today's trade. If one were to ask you to pick the top steel company to trade right now, which one would that be?
With Tata Steel, in fact, it was a good long on the dip on Friday near 390. It has already gone up by 20-25 rupees. And I expect Tata Steel to continue maybe towards 440 or 450. Of course, that might not be fast, maybe in the December series. But that is a good long for looking good for the December series.
Okay, so Tata Steel and JSW Steel are the two steel companies which have been picked by our experts to trade into this space, which has been buzzing in the last few sessions. But DLF is the other one. This particular counter has been touching fresh 52-week high almost every day, and it's been giving you positive returns for last 6 weeks. And today we've got one more positive news where Morgan Stanley has upgraded the stock to overweight. They've also increased the target price to 269 from 201. They've stated that this is the best pick now in the sector, looking at the valuations. Navneet, DLF up 2% from current levels. It is at 52-week high. Do you see this momentum continuing?
Well, it keeps surprising on the upside. The chances as momentum likely to sustain, but chasing at these levels would be, it's looking likely that a lot of good news is already in the price. To my understanding, I'll wait for the consolidation, some kind of a retracement to looking for an entry price. Somewhere in the range of 210, it would be much more comfortable chasing that stock. At this level, somewhere if it started to close about 225 odd levels, then if you're a compulsive trader, you have to chase it. But it's looking likely that this momentum or the most of the good news is there in the price. So there's a chances that we might see some kind of a mild retracement and again the resumption of an uptrend. So the overall positionally, it's looking likely that it is heading for somewhere in the range of 250 odd zone. So one would, if somebody is a patient trader, one can get any retracement in the downside, look to enter into that.
All right, and then we also have Bharti Airtel, which is also advanced today. And if you actually go and see what it has done over the past, well, about 7 or 8 sessions, it has seen a strong up move. In fact, from the levels of below 380, it has now, well, it's now trending at around 439. So Bharti Airtel has certainly seen some amount of strength. There you have it. On a 1 month basis, it has advanced by around 17%. So it has had a fairly good expiry. It's turned out to be a good expiry, specifically with respect to trade in the last 1 odd week. But and we've also seen a surge in volumes in the cash markets. But where do we go from here on Bharti Airtel, and is there more strength in store? Abhijit, how would you address Bharti Airtel?
Bharti has seen a massive rise of about 30-35% in very short time. So any fresh longs I wouldn't advise because it might consolidate in this band of 400 to 450 maybe in the next few weeks. But if anyone is long, he should hold with a stop loss below 390. And Bharti has given a breakout maybe on the mid-term charts. So it maybe after this consolidation, it can head higher towards 500.
Okay, if you're still holding on to your long positions in Bharti, Abhijit suggests to place a stop loss around the mark of 390. On that note, let's address some viewer queries. The first one comes in from Lalit Akare, who writes to us on YouTube. He is asking if he should look to sell Reliance 1600 call today, and he is looking to exit in case if he executes this particular position a day before the expiry, and that is on Wednesday. Navneet, would you advise to ride the 1600 call, which is out of the money right now, till Wednesday?
Well, look, if somebody is holding an underlying, then it makes sense to short an options and an uptrending counter which is making a fresh 52-week high and so kind of a run up that we have seen. I would not be that bullish about writing call option strategy for Reliance, largely because I believe that still the chances, a fairly good amount of chances that it moves towards that 1580 to 1600 mark in this expiry and then might surprise on the upside. So to my understanding, if you're holding an underlying, it makes sense, and if you're just naked shorting it, avoid this kind of a strategy. You've got a better option strategies to play on the other side of the market. So it would be a complete avoid for me.
Okay, well, moving on to the next query, it's from YRP. And YRP wants a view on the Bank Nifty futures, the Nifty futures specifically for the November series. Of course, we only have about 4 sessions left for expiry. So Abhijit, anything that you may recommend on the Bank Nifty futures and the Nifty futures with respect to the November expiry?
Bank Nifty futures are looking a bit more bullish than Nifty. Nifty is very close to the resistance of 12,000. But in terms of Bank Nifty, I would, if it gives a decline with a stop loss below 31,100, of course not here, it might go towards 31,400 or maybe even 500 this expiry, but not buying here, only on dip.
Okay, back to trading with discount. That's Bank Nifty futures. In fact, they have been trading at a discount in the last 3 to 4 trading session. Nagaraj writes to us on YouTube, and he wants to know what should be the target on Infosys. Well, he's not mentioned if he's taken any position target on the downside or upside. But Navneet, looking at the fall for IT stocks on Friday, there was, of course, unwinding scene for Infosys in Friday's trading session. It's trading sub 700 mark. What are the levels, be it support or resistance, that one should monitor in the coming days?
Well, if it's it's been in the band of 680 to 720 odd, and the kind of an oscillating moves that we have seen, the overall looking likely that any incremental rise above 700 is likely to be sold into. And to my understanding, until unless it's not breaking below 680, it's not going to fall apart. So there's a chances that it might consolidate and the close in the near that 700 mark only. Looking at the options data, it's suggesting me that basically a lot of overall build-up is an option max pain point is somewhere in the range of 700. So there are greater chances that in the next 4 to 5 days we'll see this sideways trend continue. But I'll watch on the lower side until unless it's breaking below 680. There's a chances that one should avoid this kind of a long short trade in this counter and wait for the break levels of 680 on the lower side, or either the break above say 720 on the upper side.
Okay, I know a few of you have written on queries, but unfortunately, guys, we're going to have to wrap. So we will take your queries up on Ask BQ at 12:30. On that note, I will take a moment to thank both our experts, Navneet and Abhijit, for joining us and taking us through their views and, of course, solving a whole host of viewer queries. But that's a wrap on this special edition of the F&O Show.
But we've got a special series, Bulls Interrupted, which goes live at 10:30 a.m. today. We kick off the series with Ramdev Agarwal, Chairman of Motilal Oswal Financial Services. You don't want to miss this one, so stay tuned to BloombergQuint.